Welcome back to EU5, episode number 20. With recent acquisitions, we are quite high on the antagonism scale at the moment and already have a coalition, and there's definitely risk of that coalition getting significantly larger. Now, part of that coalition is only just starting a truce, and so we've got a good long break. But the largest potential member of that coalition, Two Sicilies, still has a truce, but the antagonism is set to drop off here fairly soon, enough to the point that before that truce expires, they should be faded on that antagonism. But regardless, it's definitely time to consolidate for a little bit, because this entire combined group would absolutely be strong enough to handle us, and we don't want that to potentially be the case. So we are going to sit back for a little while and grow the economy, restore our levies, restore my manpower pool, and expand my manpower pool for our regulars, and enjoy the fact that we have 18 million pops right now. I had completely forgotten that I had finally found some uncolonized lands, only to then have Sweden jump in and compete with us on it. But our first Texas colony, Acoxia, is ready to go. Now the question is, do I want a colony, or do I want to keep this as Portuguese land? We're growing enough inland that we really don't need to be holding much land abroad. So yes, we are going to form a new colonial subject out of this one. Another exploration just finished, and you can see that the area is fully colonized, or at least mostly colonized. I think no, it is fully colonized. It's this specific chunk. Magdalena, so Spain, and then France are the colonizers for this particular region. So kind of where do I want to get into next? Maybe Central America. Like, let's see what's out here. As I continue through this consolidation phase, and we're yo-yoing right now between 8th and 9th in our rankings, explorations currently at 4. 1 sea, 3 by land. 2 of those, of course, are right next to our Texas colony, and the other one not far away there in the Yucatan. And then actively, we have 3 colonies at the moment as well. So and one of those is just about to finish at 96% right now. No rebels on the way. We're at 19 of them overall. It's going to be a very long while before we see any additional. So it's mostly about construction and assimilation, integration. The integration piece is now lagging behind, while the assimilation piece was doing quite well. We're going to have to probably swap somebody over to integrate here soon enough to help with that one. We do have the prestige right now to go ahead and add Mongolian. We made it a tolerated culture, but we didn't have enough prestige back in the day to make it accepted. Let's go ahead and make that one accepted now. That brings me up to 9.35 out of our 10.87, though, so we are down to 1.5 points on that. The Astrakani would be another one. If we acquire a little more land, we can get above that 2.5% threshold, and then it would be the next one. It would only count as 0.41, so I would definitely go that route. Well, we've made contact with the Central American natives, and they're still here. They have not been taken over. They are fully independent and very insignificant, meaning we could absolutely take this and then over time integrate and core. But can we create some sort of casus belli? And right now the answer is no. There is no way to do it without a non-casus belli war, which is definitely not worth it for an acquisition that's going to be a little bit of a headache for us. Starting a naval expansion, 5 more light ships here. And let me go check on Louisiana here in a second. 5 more light ships, add 5 more light ships, but also 3 carracks for this one. So that'll give me 5 heavies. I need to get transports going too. Okay, you know what? Let's do that now before we forget. I only have 2 of those at the moment. We'll add in 10 of those. And Louisiana. Kingdom of Sweden already. Okay, so we are. No wonder they were able to sneak in behind us like that. Well, I think I just added the Exploration Casus Belli, meaning we should be able to now take on some natives with that. So we'll begin preparations. We might have to draw in some forces in that area, but assuming that they are so far behind on tech, we might actually have a fairly easy time taking some of that land in Central America. I'm going to add in a lot of new transports, 25 of them, as we can, with the 10 we added, only carry 4,000 troops. We're going to need a regular army over there. How big? I don't yet know, but the forces there in Central America could easily top 20k weak levies. 5,000 might be enough to deal with them. Maybe something more like 7 or 8. And we're going to be looking for that to be something on the permanent side too. So I think we need to go through a little bit of a military expansion because I don't want to lose the 20k that I have here now. We're also up to 23k manpower overall, meaning we actually have a reserve army finally in the manpower pool, gaining 267 per month, which is certainly a okay number. I mean, it's increasing fairly quickly here in what I've blown through like 7 years here without war pretty quickly. Not bad. It's not bad. It's well up from the 9k we were at, but it's not increasing that rapidly. And like I said, it's only one spare army, and if we're about to add another about 7k, that's not even a spare total 1-to-1 ratio of what we have for our forces. So yeah, we're going to start prepping another army of about 7k, and then try to drive up that manpower reserve number just a little bit further. And eventually we have those Janissary barracks, which are super helpful for that. Wow, I didn't expect these guys to be so huge, but they are rather large. They have been, it looks like, colonizing and have pushed pretty far north. So when we do eventually get this Casus Belli, no wonder we need that 7. That's a million pops that they have, but they only have 11k for levies. They're not strong for it. There's still a little pocket back here, but yeah, okay, that was a big discovery. A new Casus Belli for the Golden Horde. It's going to last 4 years. That's exciting. That's going to give us a chance to grow again. And of course, we have cut down on the antagonism a fair bit, so I think we can just about handle it. I know the armories are going to come with a cost, but the discount overall is going to be worth it. Increase that manpower pool as I was planning on doing. So our next parliament at 48%. News of a few different varieties. For one, the antagonism list has gotten much shorter now, much more manageable. There's really only a couple larger nations left, and then Aretinids set to potentially join, making it 3 minor nations that we can easily deal with strength-wise. Current antagonism, not a problem, but it's definitely not gone. Now that's an important note for a few reasons, but we'll get to that in a second. You can see that our truce is about to expire, and our truce expired just, our peace began maybe 1 year after Egypt's. But look who Egypt is currently attacking. They don't seem to be... No, they are at war. They just haven't been able to take land off of. Egypt is moving right on into the Aretinids, so it looks like they are going to be trying to take more land out of this area here soon enough. And while I have been preparing, and I have the spy network now, I could move our troops. We have 7k. I'm going to get some cannons here in just a second. So we'll be a little short of 8k. I think like 7.8 is where we're at. And this navy could move that large of a force now over to the new world. But before we do that, I'm actually tempted to keep them around a little bit longer because, well, for one, my Golden Horde Casus Belli has... disappeared for the moment as they have been beaten back by a revolt, and it looks like the revolt won, and so we don't have a Casus Belli on them at the moment. But what we do have, well, there they are. I had one. I don't know what happened to it. Let me see. Yeah, it disappeared. For some reason, they just insulted me. Or no, I just... maybe I need to wait a month for it to tick forward, right? I just got it today. But anyway, the Sloboda, Bielska Sloboda, has insulted us. They are a vassal of Smolensk, who is allied with Georgia. So we would be having a war with Smolensk and Georgia. Now, Smolensk is the tougher of the neighbors up here, but really good opportunity to get back to seizing land in that direction where, right now, okay, Georgia hates us. But that's it. They're all the way down to a 53 from a large amount of land that we took from them before. But Georgia is weaker than Smolensk. But being that it would be a ally of the subject that we're attacking, XYZ, there's no coalition invited to it, so the others would not be involved. Not that they have any troops or anything, it's a couple of banks. But it would be a chance to dissolve that in the short term, and then with the Aretinids, who are currently at war, start a coalition? Probably not. Probably not, meaning coalition wouldn't be a problem for a little bit. And, you know, if you're taking land off of these, seems pretty doable. So I'm going to start moving troops over there, and I'm going to go ahead and keep the 7,200 part of this for the time being. Smolensk is going to be the bigger trouble. They've got a standing army right there, so I think that's where I want these guys to start. And we'll start with the others in Georgia. I might even piece out Georgia separately. Begin our conflicts after 8 years of peace. In Georgia collectively do have a fair number of available troops, but in that head-to-head comparison, Smolensk, we are much stronger than. Georgia, no match, and none of their vassals are going to offer much of a challenge either. So we should win fairly comfortably with this one. It's an insulted Casus Belli, so it is a 50% conquer cost, and subjugation is a 30% cost, so it's not going to be easy, but at least the antagonism is not boosted. It's not going to be easy to take too much land off of them, that is. And go for all. We should be able to get a fairly good war score. 2 armies in place. We will call up our levies here in just a moment, but there is Egypt still working on the Jaliarids and Aretinids right now, weakening our other easier opponent right now. And the Golden Horde appears to, well, no, there they are. They're way out here, but otherwise not exist any longer. Head-to-head comparison still looks pretty good for us. Combat power 255. 63,000 levies. Go ahead and call them all up. And no hesitation, their force is not even ready for a fight. And I saw them standing around on the border, so we're going to go straight for them. This group, I think I might wait for a little bit of additional troops before we, well, I guess they're not there now. We would see them. Not necessarily. We would not necessarily see them here. So just in case, that force will stand by. Okay, so we just crushed that entire stack of Smolensk regulars, taking captive half of those forces. So we just took a number of regulars under our control. We'll instantly absorb them into our army, and only 100 defenders. So we're going to order the assault. We will head over to that capital here soon, but as we are conveniently located, I'm going to stop this army from being raised, or at least take it out quickly. We'll go take that castle and then push east to go get the war goal. Okay, so we stopped that group. It was only 400, but that was the plan there. And these forces will go ahead and march on that capital. Well, that second regulars just took on a force of 10,000 Georgians and beat them pretty comfortably. They're in the capital, and the other forces are... Alright, We've reached the second castle here now, and they've still only gotten up to 134 defenders, so we're definitely going to assault this one as well and get through it quickly. A single assault did the job, and still 27,000 remain. Let's go stop by Kalnivka. 11,000 levies. I just stack wiped Tarki's entire force. This group's coming together here with 42,000, and 7,000 of that is regular, so they are going to be tasked with handling most of what we're going to get with Georgia. There's 20,000 more still coming, so they'll have 60k, enough to probably split into two forces. Time to test just how much stronger we are these days, and I'm not sure we're any stronger than we were in our last conflict when it came to this sort of matter, but instead of waiting to see how long the siege is going to take, we'll see how quickly we can bring down a regular fort level 2 fully occupied. Their fort defense is a minus 3%. Well, let's see what we got. Ooh, nice. Okay, so those regulars were able to bring it down in a single go. They're marching into Ravenki. I think I'm going to bring all these forces together to take them on. Oh, that group of levies ended up getting stack wiped. They had 0 morale. They got 15,000 reserves coming in here. So we do take 10,000 losses, but 18,000 inflicted. So even with the stack wipe moments before, just beat back a stack of about 36,000 that retreated very quickly after losing some of those forces, and then a second stack marched right into the trap of my other forces being prepped for them. So there you go. There's another advantage. And here comes even more forces that were ready to join in. We don't need them too, though. And I need to find my regulars. Let's see. That's this one. Okay, see, this strikes me as odd. This group is retreating, but they're going to have morale, and they're coming in, and they're going to be able to attack this other force. Another large force, over 30,000, marched into one of my 30k stacks, which I then reinforced with 2 more stacks. The third stack didn't even make it there, but not quite 3-to-1 on kills, about 2.5-to-1. Oh, we've hit the 10% war score stage where we could make demands. Right now we would have a plus 65 on neutral. I'm assuming we're going to have to keep the war going on a little bit longer if we're going to want to actually take anything here, but looking at what they have, I'm guessing it's going to be more expensive to pull from Georgia, making Bielska Sloboda no longer exist. Won't cost me much, but we are at a -1 even for that right now. Potential war targets here, finishing off some states that we already have partials of, and then getting that actual war target of Sloboda of 68 on the war score, meaning there's plenty of room to go higher, but even that's a -53 for now, and I'm not sure I want to stay in this war for very long, but I certainly could. They're not posing much of a threat at the moment. We're handling them relatively with ease for the time being, so status quo at the moment. Keep working. Well, there's a development. We're in the midst of a war. Of course, we are winning that war, and relatively easily, but we've just ascended to the number 6 great power while in the middle of a war. Usually that's something that goes the opposite direction during the wars. Take a little bit of a step back and then get things under control again later on. So really excited by that. First time into the top 6. Of course, there's a lot of perks that come with that as well. The Casus Belli for getting into Central America is ready. I'm going to need to pay attention to how long I have to use it, which is 5 years. So I do have plenty of time, but it's going to take quite a while to transport an army all the way out there. We may need to get on with that here soon with my small force, which I think is over, should be this force. I've neared the max war score, and I think I've already gone forward a year and a half, meaning I've only got about 3.5 years to get that army over, so I think it's time to bring this war to an end. I could squeeze out just a little bit more, like one more maybe 2 more locations, but not worth it here and now. And really, this isn't even that big of a expansion for us. It's kind of small as far as expansions go. Imagine if I somehow pulled that out. That would, no, that really doesn't change it. So yeah, that's gonna do it for now, and then it's on to Central America. And for now, at least, that disbands the coalition. To look at how the antagonism is, there really wasn't that much coming out of that war, except for, you know, direct towards, like, say, Georgia. Went back up by a bit, but those around them, the Aretinids, we no longer have a peace deal with them, so that has expired. They could form a new one, as could Padua. Fairly clear otherwise. Half of that's banks without any armies. Only a few upset nations right now. Time to spare, and our army nearly here, ready to go. Let's go ahead and declare war on our enemy, who is significantly weaker than we are, but we are not bringing a large force when they can produce a decently sized force here. So this is not a given. It's not an automatic. We might have a small challenge on our hands, but overall should have a fairly easy time with this one, if they don't bring all their forces together in one fight. And there is absolutely zero threat of antagonism being a factor at all. We can take all we want out of this one. The total forces, 25,000. So I finished my tech queue. So I've started a new one up with 21, all from the admin section of our current age, the 4th age here, which we're down to the last about 10% on before we begin a new age. We've got 15 years to go on that one, so I guess 15% to go. Pop conversion speed, power projection, possible government reforms, conversion speed, war score cost, crown power, noble estate satisfaction, cabinet seats, life expectancy, gravel road cost, or road cost, construction speed, lumber output, trade capacity, market attraction, trade efficiency, and colonial maintenance. This battle was a very quick stack wipe with just a few losses. Alright, here comes our first proper battle, 13k. Let's see, the morale advantage, about 0.7-ish, tactical advantage, almost a full point. And discipline actually is really similar though. With my small numbers, that is not a win. That is not a win. More than 2-to-1, well over 2-to-1 on the kill ratio. But we ran out of morale first. March back into our borders though and get reinforcements, and that's going to be the nice thing here, is we have just this little bit of area to retreat back to, and I'm still not too worried about the overall war here, but might take a little bit more than what we have. Another battle started small, and then all of a sudden they had 10k, and I didn't get my reinforcements even though I was in my own lands, and I was really confused by that because we did have 2 turn of the months and no reinforcements came, which means I stay with my small force. Had I had the 7k, I think we win this battle quite easily. We still got a 3-to-1 kill ratio, but something's strange is going on with the I mean, look how dwindled they are. If I could only just get reinforcements, 7k can now handle what's left. They got 12k in 2 different stacks. Interesting. An envoy from Sultan Muhammad has arrived requesting assistance in his efforts to crush the ongoing secession crisis in Egypt. During times of hardship and instability, it is vital to establish and maintain strong relations with our influential neighbors. Though through this envoy, Sultan Muhammad has proposed the terms under which he may receive some much needed aid. We can give them a 6,000k loan on 8% interest, which I certainly like that, and it would make them like us. Or we could sign the proposal and they will give us the territory of Sis, create an alliance, also create a truce for 15 years, which I really like. and or we could just make them upset by saying no. I love that. Okay, it came with a guarantee. So this is the area we got the state of Sis, like Hargon, Kyoksud, and Sis. Sadly, that gives them a somewhat bad border, but that's okay. That is okay. We got some multiple things going on here, including a rebellion that just spawned, but it's only a territory. We are finally starting to get some reinforcements for this group, so they're already back up to 6,800. And now nearly back to full strength. Seems like a good opportunity to go on the offensive. And now this war should should ideally go in our favor here quickly. That opposition is getting pretty weak here with just 12k left. And catching out their other force that they had, we should now have a substantial advantage. 79 new constructions based on 10k worth of spending. Trade offices and production items were the bulk of that spending. Chased down some of their units while sieging a castle, left behind a little bit of my forces, and ended up getting the stack wipe and surrender out of them. That definitely makes me happy. We could absorb that unit in. I've got the war score necessary at 11 to be able to make demands, and we've got a plus 102 on this one at the moment, so I actually am tempted to see just what we can get out of this one. Literal size wise, it's a good chunk of land, but unfortunately, because of their nation being stretched and rather thin, if I take anything across the middle, it cuts them in two, and then all of a sudden we can take significantly less. So for now at least, I have to leave them this long strip because I can't take all of one end, as we don't yet have that land discovered. We're almost all the way across that Mexican landscape, right? We're almost reaching the Pacific, but not quite. Not quite. So we'll have to wait till later to do that, but it does open us up to some Casus Belli opportunities to others that are inserted in between and take that land as well. And I'm probably going to want to give at least some of this land to Akakisa so that they can integrate and core it for me. But I also don't want Akakisa to getting too large. And yeah, this land is a real freaking handful, so I don't want a brand new vassal. But I'll have to decide how much of this I want to integrate and core myself. 461 ducats to go with it, but with how everything's going, there's not really any more land that I can take without cutting them in two. And just like that, with 2 wars won, we find ourselves with nearly 20 million pops, 19.8 million. That 6th place that we were in to hit that great power list only lasted for a moment. The next month we were right down to 8th. We have settled back in at 7th while having almost continuous wars going. But we find ourselves now into multiple parts of the world. We've got our few little pockets of footholds, but now we're very much starting to show up with a fairly healthy presence in the New World. And there's still a fair amount of colonization to happen there, but we are very much well behind the Western European powers in those regards. But we're finding ourselves capable against most of our neighbors, at least. And Egypt, you can see, took a good chunk of the Jaliarids that time. A little bit, I think, of the Aretinids. It looks like they went more for the Jaliarids this time around and not the Aretinids. But that also means that the Aretinids and Jaliarids are very weak compared to what they had previously, and could easily be a target for us in the future. And then the other thing is we are now friends with Egypt. Not just friends, but allies. So, and we've caught up to them too. We're perfectly balanced. I think they're still ranked in the top 5. They are still 4th. So they've been bouncing around 3rd to 4th throughout. And now we are climbing up towards that level, ascending towards that level ourselves, getting very close to that point anyway here. With 12 years left in the Age of Reformation, tech is going well, integration and coring is going well, and our new integration table, well, it's a little more diverse. The Tapanakapan really hate us, but they're very weak, right? Our little 7K army it had its handful at a couple of moments there when they all came together, right? When all 20K came after us at once. But outside of that, we dealt with them just fine, and in time got a good little haul out of that first war, and that will begin that push into Central America. There's so many pops to get out of there, and as we learned from the first campaign, all it takes is having 2 or 3 armies yourself to counter the rebellions that come. But of course, long term, integrating and assimilating that region is going to be important. But of course, integrating and assimilating our own home is more important. Really, what we're getting out of there is a huge increase to trade capacity, huge increase to levies, manpower pools, etc., etc. So that's where it really has its value. And I guess maybe just for the sake of grabbing scoreline and pushing up the rankings a little bit, if that's important. But Georgia, halfway through the truce deal with them, the Aratinids, there is no coalition right now. The Aratinids, Padua, they aren't interested. And we're about to see 2 of those on the list drop off to the banks, and Padua's not that far behind them before they drop away. And we have a lot to integrate and core right now and spend our money on to continue growing that economy. We're already starting to see some really healthy monthly balance occurring at the moment, with 8.5K in the bank and nearly 500 a month in profit. All in all, things are really, really going well. We've kind of stalled out, looked around neighbors going, oh my gosh, everybody's tough. And then the right nation came along and insulted us. And then since then, we've been able to really take off yet again. And if we look at the economic comparison of like Two Sicilies was right behind us in ranking. They're 16th now, so we've knocked them down a bit, and in that fair bit stronger comparison. So militarily, we are a 216 power. They're a 102 now. We're 2/3, or twice their strength, really. 44K is the total manpower pool, but of course we're only at the halfway stage of that one right now. It's only a little bit more than them. 27K to their 29K, meaning they have actually a larger standing army than we have, but 2-to-1 ratio there in strength. And then there's the levies, where we are 80% to them, 145K to 33K. But the other thing, the big one for me, is they were like 3-to-1 when we were at like 300 for our economy. They've grown. They've probably doubled their economy in that time frame. The last, I don't even know now, 75 years? Probably was somewhere around 1550. In about 75 years, they've doubled the size of their economy, yet we have 500%, right? 5 times overgrown from that 300 to now 1546. Massive increase in the size of the economy, and we've gone from 12 million pops to 19 million pops over that time frame as well. The Navy is still lagging behind. I need to invest more into the Navy, which of course I've made improvements in that. All in all, 41, 34, 26 ships. It's something, but it's a ways off from where we need to be, and man, that needs to be balanced. There you go. Thank you very much. Now, Hungary still does not like us, but we are ahead of them. They are 8, but we are still technically slightly weaker than them, and that's just mostly because they've got a huge manpower pool and 106k standing army. We have a lot more levies than them. But all in all, we would have a hard time fighting Hungary if it came down to it. So we've very much outgrown them, but we have not out-militaried them. But last I saw pop-ups for it a couple of years ago. Hungary is the military hegemon. They have the strongest military in the world as of right now. So that's kind of the benchmark that we're trying to compare with. And Bohemia and France and, England, Castile, or Spain. Oh, it is Spain. It is Spain, and it looks like they're about to take over the rest of Portugal. We had a chance to, casus belli them and get a little foothold there in the Iberian Peninsula. But I'm very much liking the Egyptian alliance. And if we can make nice with Hungary, then, obviously you have more than half of a pinwheel around us for expansion. And I very much like expanding in this direction where you're going to be a little bit ahead on tech. And then eventually, when timing is right, you go after your two Sicilies and, get more of this coastline, if others join in, and just weaken the two Sicilies. Going after Tunis, if they aren't friends with Spain, would be logical. Aragon, likewise. But a lot of good things are happening in this campaign. And we are almost 60% of the way through it, right? 12, just over 11 years to go on that. But we are doing well. And whatever bonuses the Ottomans started with to take off are long gone now, right? It's been a long time since we've had that event that gave us that little bit of an edge. We've very much been on our own, and now we have that strong economy and strong growth, and your Georgias and Golden Hordes, Muscovies are all very inferior compared to what we have. Smolensk was the strongest in the area, and we dealt with them quite easily in the war at the beginning of this episode. Wish we would have been able to get a little more land, but that's one thing I need to keep an eye on with our tech upgrades, is I need some better casus belli options. Right now, the exploration one is one of our best, which is why Central America is going to be a nice big old target in the short term, as you can definitely use it there. And not going to happen with Egypt now that we're allies, unless that ends at some point. But maybe we can march our way through the Jaliarids or through this region anyway to get to the. It's not the Red Sea. Red Sea is this one. Sea of Oman or whatever it is. Anyway, if we can make contact here in Kuwait region, IRL, from there, you now have a sea path into your Southeast Asia, East Africa, and another big opportunity to really utilize the exploration casus belli and be able to grow that way. I think we could definitely keep pushing the expansion of our regular army, but I'd still like to keep really on top of the economy. Making at least 500 a month sets that up, really makes that possible to then make the army larger, make the navy larger, make the manpower pool bigger. Things that don't come with an income, but come with their own benefits, right? As for the integration and coring that we've been doing, you can see this is all integrated now to the west. This is finally cored, and I have just started assimilating here, not realizing until I had already clicked it that I have not integrated here. So when Cursa here is finished integrating, I'm gonna hopefully remember that we need to go integrate this location, but it's nice that this one's finally cored. Took a very long time. But we are integrating here and here. We have finished coring this area. Finally, that took a very long time to core. It was a large state. There was a lot of locations and a lot of pops, and this one, the Karamanen, was a very large population base itself, so it took a really long time. Here's my new acquisitions that we just picked up from Egypt in that deal that got us the alliance. I was happy to take the land as opposed to the loan, even though the loan certainly would have had some value to it, but it wouldn't hurt them much. Taking the land off of them shifts that balance just a little bit more for us. We are actively coring here and here, so we'll get that green and open that up this direction. I will get this integrated soon, and all of this soon. None of this has been integrated yet, as we continue to actually grow and expand in that direction too. So I would expect some future rebellions to come out from there. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.